Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The time now is 6:28, and we begin the Finance Committee meeting. We begin with Agenda Item 2.1, Review and Discussion of Cash Account Report.
Yes, thank you. I will go ahead and call up Ms. Mata.
I'm gonna try and do this. Okay. Okay, let me see. Okay, we're gonna start with the bank balances. And our cash account. I'll just summarize it real quick. The total cash account balance in our First Community Bank is $4,561,823.85. In our investment accounts, we have 3 investment accounts that we put money into, which is First Public Investment, Texas Class Investment, and Ameritrade. The total in our investment accounts are $64,135,882.63, for a total of combined cash and investment balance of $68,697,706.48. So, any questions on that report? Okay, do I just go on? Okay. Agenda item 2.2, the discussion on the tax report.
We need to make this one an Agenda
Okay.
Item 2.1, and then we move on to 2.2, Review and Discussion of Tax Collection.
Okay. On the tax report, our fiscal year started in July. We have a collected for current year of 452,000, I'm just reading the last two, 452,331.07 for current year, from July to September on delinquent taxes, and from October, our tax levy is from October 22, this is wrong. I'm sorry, I'm gonna correct this one. This is wrong. It's probably the dates, but I'll look at it, because I did review it beforehand, but I'll review it for the next, for the board meeting. So, okay, we can skip that one. We can, yes, or pull it, or, I don't know how you say.
Item 2.2?
Yeah, yes.
Yes, okay.
Moving on to 2.3, Review and Discussion of Comparison of Revenue and Expenditures to Budget.
Okay, on this one, oh, and I'm not changing it, sorry, okay. On this one, the total revenue realized for our general fund is, which is 101, 161, I'm sorry, athletics revenue, band, choir, the project fit, and our, of course, the big one, the general fund, is the total revenue is 34,414,976.001. For our INS, which is where we pay our bonds, we realized in taxes $1,407,239.26, for a combined revenue for those two funds of $35,822,215.27. Our bond, which is our bond construction, is a total of $40,996,633.10. These are revenues. Okay. For the expenditures, we have, again, for the general fund, $23,002,038.13. For the INS, we only paid interest in August, $1,750,182.25, for total expenditures of $24,752,220.38. Our capital projects, we've gone over this one. We've expensed $21,586,720.53. So, any questions on that?
Yes, your
Okay.
numbers.
Oh.
Okay, so you're saying 24 million, right? Not 24,000?
Oh, 24 million, I'm sorry, yes.
Can we go back to the previous slide, Ms. Mata, please?
The revenues?
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
The revenues, so maybe I just heard wrong, but our grand total revenues is correct on here. It's 35 million, right? 35 million,
35 million.
822,000?
Yes,
Okay, I thought I had heard 45, and I'm like, okay, where were we looking? But it may have been me. Thank
yeah,
you.
okay.
This becomes an agenda item. Moving on to 2.4, Review and Discussion of Check Disbursements for October 2022.
Oh, I'm going wrong. Okay, never mind. Okay, for the general fund AP checks, we expensed for the month of October, $2,089,180.70. For student activity checks, it's $53,905.32. For the construction projects, it's 371,754.02. For the scholarship checks, 1,250. And for payroll checks, 6,532,402.42. We're still missing the liability checks again. That's for the IRS, the withholding, the voluntary insurance, and all that. They're barely clearing that out. Total checks for now without the liability is 9,048,492.46. And all the documentation for the checks that were issued were in the back. Any questions on that?
Moving on to that becomes an agenda item. Moving on to 2.5, review and discussion of PNC schedule of authorized signers for San Benito CISD.
This is the bank that we pay for the Bobby Morrow Stadium lease that we have. We have to give an authorization to Mrs. Servillon and myself. Right now, Dr. Carmen and Mrs. Perez are still on signers at the bank. So this is just to authorize Mrs. Servillon and myself as signers.
Any questions or comments? Agenda item. Moving on to 2.6, review and discussion of proposals on meals and catering services district-wide, RFP 1022 MCSD.
Okay, Mr. Cavazos is here to assist me.
Good evening, President Moreno, members of the board, Ms. Servillon. The district went out for an RFP for the meals and catering. One of the lists that we already had expired, so all of these vendors are kind of renewing. We have three years. The first year we go out for bid, and then 2 renewals after that. So this is going to be the first one out of those 3. We ask for the approval of the people who submitted on an as-needed basis.
Questions or comments? Agenda item. Moving on to 2.7, review and discussion of proposals for general merchandise and services, RFP 1022 GMS.
Yes, thank you. This is the same thing. The original RFP that we had, we ran out of renewals, so we're going to renew again. We went out for bid again, solicited proposals. Attached should be the tabulation that you have in front of you, requesting for approval on an as-needed basis.
Questions or comments? Agenda item. 2.8, review and discussion of proposals for professional consultant services, RFP 1022 PCS.
This is also the same thing. We ran out of renewals on the other professional consultants, so we went out and did again on an RFP. And the people there attached a proposal, so we're requesting for approval on an as-needed basis also.
Questions or comments? Agenda item. Moving on to 2.9, review and discussion of bid proposals for the purpose of vehicle delivery truck district-wide, RFP 1022 VDTD.
So the district went out for bids on a delivery truck, and we're in dire need of a delivery truck. We have one. It's over 20 years old and it leaks. So we requested the administration to see if we can purchase a delivery truck. This is not only for the purchasing department, but this is for use district-wide. We received one bid from Bogus. He has the truck in the parking lot. We solicited Elif Motors and Boswell and Tipton, but they don't have any trucks, and they couldn't get pricing because I think they barely came out with the pricing in late October. So they couldn't bid on it. So we're requesting for award of Bogus Ford. When was it what?
Richard Garcia, the driver.
Nope.
Richard Garcia, the driver.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, sir. He'll be delivering the textbooks and all that, among other things. So we're requesting for approval of Bogus Ford.
2.9 becomes an agenda item. Moving on to 2.10, review and discussion to extend the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, engineering services for 1 additional year, RFQ 1021 HVAC.
Yes, ma'am. So last year, the district went out for RFQs on MEP engineers at the request of the HVAC department. They were going to have several projects that they needed engineers on. We went ahead and received 4 proposals, and we awarded all of them on a list. So Mr. Cole is the one that's been using these engineers, and I believe he's here if you have any questions to ask him. But we're requesting one more extension of the RFQ.
Questions or comments? Agenda item.
Thank you.
Moving on to 3.1, any committee concerns?
Thank you, Ms. Mata.
No concerns? Thank you very much. Moving on to adjournment, the time now is 6:38.